And are you refreshed? Good. Now what?
Hello, I'm super excited and thrilled to be here. I was almost picked the other day, and I stood up, and Abraham pointed out down and the person below. But the thrill of just standing up and thinking you are picked up was so good that I asked my husband, I was like, please, can you put your hand on my heart? And it's kind of similarly pumping right now because I have so many different things and so many different questions to start with, and to add, so to speak, onto what we've done already so far. But I wanted to ask if Abraham is ready to talk a little bit about some purely non-physical questions.
Whatever you want. We always point you back to here, which is where we are all, even in our non-physicality, focused. But we're happy to answer your questions to the extent that you can form images that make it sort of understandable to you.
Yes, because I'm clear that obviously we can come as close but not fully because we are focused physically here.
There's another reason that we don't do a lot of that, and we just want to tell you that first. We still are happy to talk with you about whatever you want. You all are really good at fully focusing on manifestations, so much so in fact that it's not easy to get you to even consider the vibration and the thoughts when they are in the process of turning to things. Most people are not very excited about paying attention to their emotions, which let them know, which are the indicator of the progress of the evolution of their desires. And so in some ways you might say that it's sort of counterproductive for us to focus so much into the non-physical that you can't see yourself working into physical. In other words, we don't want to go that way, we want to go this way. You are non-physical energy coming forward, not physical beings going to non-physical.
Understood.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I had out of all of the different things and learning about the contrast differences between step 1, step 3, 4, and 5, there was one recording that I found that Abraham was saying, well, there is also a contrast in non-physical.
There is, but it would be imperceptible to you.
Okay, that was that. Okay, we are retired right there then.
Really so finely tuned.
Understood. And then I would be interested then to talk about the difference between step 1 and step 5. In general, I completely understand it. And just today I heard again that step 1 is where we actually, really make the progress and launch our desires. But the step 5 is where we want it to be.
Step 1, we want to say this in a strong way. Step 1 is really where your creation happens. It's where you make your choices. It's where you define what you want, which is what we mean by that's when you create, that's when you put it in the vortex. Difference between step 1 and step 5 is when you're in step 5, you're back in step 1, meaning you're putting things into the vortex. The difference is you're seeing it from the perspective of source, where you're empowered and clear, rather than the perspective of, in other words, you're under the influence of source and still focused on resistance.
Can you say that again?
We really wanted to say it especially well to you because you just asked the most important setup question for that. Is there contrast in the non-physical? Yes, we just don't look at it as a bad thing like humans do. We see it as variety. We see it as choices. So the difference between step 1 and step 5 are simply how it feels when you're in contrast. So imagine being so tuned in, so understanding of how it all works, and able still to explore variety and contrast without using it as a club to hit yourself or somebody else around the head with. You see? Continue. Your questions will take it further.
I don't think I have anything else to ask because everything so far that we've discussed, and I always feel great. I always feel, from the moment I became aware of Abraham's teachings and kind of had all the examples from before I was aware, it was clear to me that it's all up to us. It's all up to responsibility to, ball is in your court, so it's so easy, and it became so much more fun, and actually shifted me more towards the deliberate intent portion, which I so happen to carry in my hand today. And then you started bringing it up again with one of the previous people that were in a hot seat.
We want to give you an example. It's a story of Jerry and Esther, and it is the best story. It is the best 5-step story. So Esther was dusting an etagere with glass shelves, and each of the heavy glass shelves was sitting on a very slight brass peg. And Esther didn't realize that with each dusting, the shelf was moving a little, and that this top shelf was getting ready to no longer be situated on the peg. So she's on her tiptoes, and she's got her dusting tool, and this time when she touched it, it was the last straw, and the top shelf, very heavy glass, fell to the next shelf, which fell to the next shelf, which fell to the next shelf. And many, many, many things that Jerry and Esther had gathered from lots of different places were part of the catastrophe. And Jerry was in the other room, and Esther was, as she usually is, in her stocking feet or bare feet. And he called out because he heard the sound. He said, "Don't move, don't move, I'm coming." And as he came, there were shards of glass actually sticking in the floor and lots of broken things. And Jerry, from his step 5 perspective, said, "Oh good, something to buy." He saw nothing at all wrong with those things that had really thrilled them as they had found them, but now were just something to dust. Oh good, something to look for, a reason to shop, a reason to move, a reason to be together, a reason to focus on beautiful things, a reason to let more beautiful things in. And that's the way your inner being feels all the time. And when you begin not feeling that you've wasted anything, when you begin to understand the perfection of the moment, when you begin to realize that you don't need to drag things around with you to support or shore up anything, when you're just living in the moment and enjoying life as it is coming to you, those are step 5 moments. Yes?
Yes.
Yeah.
Thank you so much.
Yeah. Really good.